Hi friends, this is Wendy with Love and Stampin', and today we are going to make a really cute little project. We're going to use Scrap Diva Designs tote box. It's like a jelly, it's called Jelly Tote Box, I think. And this is a freebie from Honeybee we're going to use to make the tag. And then I've got this sentiment set from Waffle Flower. I hate to tell you this, it's sold out, but you can put your email in and they'll notify you when it comes back in. And I did link to another really cool sentiment set of theirs below the video. So before we get going here too much, I just want to tell you I die cut everything out of solid cardstock and now I'm going to assemble it. That's why I sped this video up so much, because the assembly was kind of tedious. It's super simple. By the way, this tape I'm using here is from scrapbook.com and it's 1/8 of an inch. So it's half the size of 1/4 of an inch and it is perfect for stuff like this. So if you want to pick that up, it's fairly inexpensive and I'll link to it. So below the video, you're going to find links for my blog and a link to the visual supply list. You can click either one of those links to visit those things. And yeah, this box came together super easy. I will tell you, there is not, actually I'll link to the box below just by itself. So there's a link for the jelly tote and then there's a link for the rest of the supplies. And that's just because for some reason I can't find Scrap Diva Designs in the link deli thing that I use. So I had to do 2 separate links. Okay, so I cut out of a strawberry pattern paper this tag, and I cut a solid white tag as well. I layered them together. I just glued one on top of the other. Then I die cut the little piece for the bottom so that it would have some interest there. Now, here's what we really came to talk about, is this trick for the MISTI. When you have a sentiment that you really love, like I love this sentiment so much, I really need to re-ink my black ink. I love this sentiment, so I'm going to stamp it. I'm going to take it out of the MISTI. I'm going to leave the stamp in place. This is the key component. You cannot move the stamp after you have done this. And you want to use a nice square edge piece of cardstock. So if you notice it fit very nicely in the top of my MISTI, that's what you want. You don't want like this jaggedy edge piece. The reason is because you need to make sure you're putting your cardstock back in exactly the same place after you die cut. So this really doesn't work if you can't make sure to line it back up exactly the same. So here I'm going to put this back in, and now this is going to be like my negative or my mask. And I have shown this trick before, but I'm telling you it's one of the best that there ever was. So it's worth showing multiple times. And then I am going to just pop these sentiment that I die cut just out of white cardstock. I'm going to pop them in place and then I'm going to ink them and stamp them. So you might be asking, well, what's the point? Why wouldn't you just stamp them and die cut them? I'm going to tell you why. Because if you go back and you watch, it took me a few seconds to get the die lined up around the sentiment before I die cut it. And then sometimes it can shift during die cutting. So with this trick, you literally just die cut a whole bunch of white pieces. You don't even have to look at what you're doing. You just throw the die on there and cut. And then you stamp by putting it in this little spot here, and that holds it in place. And then you get a perfect sentiment stamp image every time. And this is a great way to either stamp a whole bunch of sentiments and just have them handy if you're making a bunch of cards, or if you just don't want to always have to fiddle with a sentiment. And the second reason that this is fantastic is for mass producing cards. So if you were making a whole bunch of graduation cards or birthday cards, or you wanted to, mass produce because you're selling cards, or, a thank you card for something, this is so much faster. It will save you tons of time to do it this way versus stamp and die cut. So just die cut a whole bunch of solid pieces, and then you can just super quickly go through and stamp. There you saw me taking pictures with my phone because I wanted to have photos of each of these processes so that I could put it on my blog. So that's it. I mean, I only did 3 today, but this is something you could do. You could sit down. The other cool thing you could do is I even thought, man, I could just die cut a whole bunch of these, go in and sit down and watch TV with my husband and stamp and just sit and stamp them. I wouldn't have to, I could die cut them in my craft space and then go sit and stamp them at a TV tray in the living room. So anyway, now I'm just going to add this onto that fun paper, and then we're going to add this to our jelly tote, and this project will pretty much be done. I had a bunch of crinkle paper from, a package I got or something. I can't remember. And it was it looks a little bit red, but it's kind of like a pinky red. And I used that to put into my little tote. And then I have these little strawberry gummy things that I'm using to put in this tote, but I'll put other stuff in here too. So I'll just hang on to this. I don't actually have any particular person in mind to give this to for their birthday. Maybe my mom. My mom's birthday is at the end of July. So I could fill this with lots of things. She probably won't like those strawberry gummy things, but I could put all kinds of fun little stuff in here. This tote's pretty big. It's kind of flimsy. I think because it's so big, if I did it again, I might double up the cardstock so that it was thicker, so that it was more like stable. One of the reasons it was flimsy, well, also I could use a heavier weight cardstock. So the flimsiness doesn't come from the construction. It just comes from like this cardstock that I used is 65 pound. I probably should have used like 100 pound or 110 pound cardstock, but I really wanted to use a yellow and not white. So anyway, that's that. So I tied the little bow on, and then some of you may have excuse me, some of you may have noticed that I did not put the bottom on. That was because I didn't die cut it. Silly me. I just somehow missed die cutting the bottom piece, but I have all the tape on here, so then I can just go in and pop the bottom on, and I just sped this up because it took me a while and is pretty self-explanatory. You put the tape on and you peel it off and you add the bottom. And then I take my bone folder and I like to go in and just secure it all. So here is that red crinkle paper that I had from a package. So save your packaging because you just never know like when it's going to come in handy. And this was super cute. And you might be thinking, why is she taking it out of the middle of the bag and not the top where it's ziplocked? Well, that's because one of my dogs chewed a hole in it. That's why. So now I have a hole in this bag, so I don't have to go in and do it the other way. So this is the finished project, and I will add more things to the tote. I just didn't have anything to throw in there at the time, and I decided it needed more of this crinkle paper, and that's it. We didn't really have time for story time today. I'll have another video out in a couple of days, so we will have story time. But all is good in the neighborhood, friends. I really enjoyed making this project. I think these totes, by the way, this tote actually has a handle too. I just didn't die cut it, but it's got a really cute little handle that goes on each side. So anyway, if you need a MISTI, if you don't have one, there's links below the video. If you want this little cute jelly tote, you can grab that. I listed all the products, and like I said, the sentiment set is out of stock, but it does have a notify me for when it comes back in. And then I linked to a really cute happy birthday set from Waffle Flower also. All right, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thanks for watching. If you want to see another video from me, click either one you see here. Click my face to subscribe, and you can follow me on Instagram at Wendy Cranford. Hope you have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.